These stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Does anyone not understand the gunman's motive for assassinating Charlie Kirk? Anyone? Shells recovered after the shooting had words like, "Hey, fascist, catch." So can a reasonable person agree the motive was at least hate? And don't forget, some leftists were cheering when they heard Charlie was dead. Jimmy Kimmel drew applause from his audience by suggesting a MAGA conservative killed Charlie. So I guess they know the motive. But riddle me this: how is it a former security and intel analyst go on MSNBC and state his exact words, "We have not seen in the Charlie Kirk assassination a really clear, definable ideology or motive"? That expert is a clown. But that kind of absurdity gives him airtime and a paycheck from MSNBC. There are reports, no facts, but I don't doubt this has been considered. Someone getting a truck billboard with a large video screen, driving around, playing Charlie Kirk's assassination over and over again. Could someone be that demented? Someone was deranged enough to assassinate Kirk.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Great patio season to enjoy any of the Cafe Napoli locations. How about the Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield? Enjoying coal-fired pizza, nothing else like it. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. A few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge, where you can enjoy premium cigars and whiskeys. Check the Lit Cigar Lounge Facebook for details, plus gift cards for friends. I'll see you at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield. John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Alllman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy fancy Friday to all of you. And we're going to do the show in a different language today. I think that's how we're going to go. Oh, look, James Comey.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant. And she's right.
Oh, was she the one who found the seashells on the beach? Yeah. It's funny, today while I was walking along the beach, I saw a configuration in seashells, FAFO. It was very interesting. I almost took a picture, but decided I didn't have a camera. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is to have Judge Andrew Napolitano right here, right now, even as he's driving. I mean, this guy is working all the time. He is the star of stage and screen, and he's taking time out for all of you and all of us here at the Alllman Report. Judge Andrew Napolitano, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Thank you, Jamie. I'm fine, and thank you for your generous, over-the-top introduction. I am not a star stage and screen.
Well, wait a minute, though. Now, I know you. I know that at one point you were doing that stage show, so that was pretty cool.
Well, that I have done 2 stage shows. Yes.
Yes, I love that. So what is your takeaway? I mean, I know this has been something you've been very busy addressing over the last 24 hours or so. So what do you think?
Well, the government tried 3 times to persuade a grand jury to indict him. First 2 times were rejected. First time by another grand jury, not the one that indicted him. The second time was rejected by this same grand jury. They then narrowed the charges against him. So the charges against him now are answering a question with one word, no, which they say is a lie. And as a result of that no, it interrupted Congress's investigation, and that constituted an obstruction of justice. Now, what was the no to? Senator Ted Cruz asked him if he had authorized anyone in the FBI to leak information about the FBI's investigation of Russiagate to the press, and Comey answered no. Andrew McCabe became the acting FBI director when President Trump fired Jim Comey, had already told the committee that he was the leaker and that he had done so with the approval of Jim Comey. So you have McCabe saying Comey authorized the leak under oath. And you have Comey saying under oath he did not authorize it. This produced an investigation by the Inspector General of the Justice Department, who concluded that Comey was telling the truth and McCabe was lying. So now, that's the reason that this other grand jury and a large number of FBI agents have attempted to dissuade the prosecution, because the investigation by the Inspector General was quite thorough. Nevertheless, the new U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, just appointed by President Trump last week, and her team succeeded in persuading a jury to indict Comey. Now, if it's he said, if it's just Andrew McCabe's word against Jim Comey's, the Comey convicted, because the government has to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. That's the phrase in the case law. On the other hand, if they have corroborating evidence to corroborate their allegation against Comey, such as emails, then Comey is on thin ice. Now, these 2 guys, Comey and McCabe, are lifelong federal employees, federal prosecutors, and FBI agents. I can't imagine if they entered into some sort of a conspiracy to reveal evidence harmful to Donald Trump by leaking it to the press, that there are emails evidencing the conspiracy, but you never know. So we'll see what the government comes up with.
Yeah, well, Judge Andrew Napolitano, do you think that in an odd kind of way that Andrew McCabe might wind up being, and maybe you alluded to this, might wind up being the key piece of evidence that they have, his own statements, correct? I mean, it seems to me that's how things are going.
Well, his statements can't be introduced into evidence, only his testimony.
Yeah.
So this would truly be bizarre. The government's chief witness would be hostile to the government.
Yeah.
I mean, this does happen, but it's very unusual. Normally, the government's witness has entered into some kind of a non-prosecutorial deal and is complying with his end of the deal, or is a neutral person who witnessed the crime. But in this case, the government's chief witness is the defendant's best buddy, who doesn't want the defendant to be convicted.
Yeah.
So, and he can't be prosecuted because whatever he did is well beyond the statute of limitations. And, you know, these events occurred in 2015, 16, and 17, and the statute of limitations is 5 years. Not Comey's testimony about the events, but the events themselves. So McCabe can't be prosecuted, and he'd be a wild card on the witness stand as to what he would say against his colleague and best buddy. I'm being a little sarcastic with best buddy. I don't know about best buddy, but his colleague and friend, Jim Comey.
Well, so and interestingly enough, so you know, and I know you're always very objective about things, and especially things regarding President Trump. I get it, and I think we appreciate that. So where is this? Because I know that there are people out there saying, you know, even more. My goodness, the headlines on CNN and everything else that this is all revenge. But can it really be revenge when there is actually something that happened? I mean, this was a grand jury and not Donald Trump who handed down the indictment. So can this really be called revenge?
Well, the president is making it to sound revenge. The president and the attorney general are actually helping Comey's defense by the comments they are making, attacking him personally. Look, Comey is no saint. In my view, much of what Donald Trump says about Jim Comey is true.
Yeah.
But none of that is going to come in before the jury, because the fact that he's a bad person or has committed other uncharged, and because of the statute of limitations, unchargeable crimes, the jury's not going to know about that. So is this revenge? I don't think he'd be prosecuted if Trump hadn't ordered it. Remember, there was a prosecutor in place whom Trump fired. That prosecutor made a presentation to the grand jury against the advice of his own FBI agents, and the grand jury declined to indict. So it's not a very strong case unless they have something corroborative that they haven't shared with us yet.
Yeah. Well, and I think your point about President Trump's comments, when I heard them yesterday, it was really you know, obviously I'm a big Trump fan, but what I'm saying is it worried me because at this point you can make the argument that when the president of the United States talks in this manner, there's not a juror in the world who hasn't heard it, although there probably are, but you know what I mean? I mean, that's a formidable pedestal to be standing on and talking. And so I guess if you're Comey's defense, you sit there and say, well, how can he get a fair trial in any way, shape, or form here?
Well, you know, I've dealt with high-profile cases. You just have to be diligent. You know, in the federal system, the judge picks the jury. Well, the judge picks the jury pool. This judge will pick about 60 people, and from that 60, 16 will be the jurors, 12 active jurors and four alternates. That's the federal system. You don't want people that never heard of Donald Trump, and you don't want people that are unaware of his animus toward Comey. You just want people who you are satisfied as the judge will make decisions based on the evidence in the court on what the president general is saying outside the courtroom. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the neck, but it may add a day or so to the jury selection, but they'll find people.
Yeah. So
you know, there are other high-profile cases where people have weighed in. You can find 16 people that are
Yeah.
Not ignorant, but neutral.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can. That's true. So, I guess, who do you think is next? I mean, there will be somebody next. I mean, it looks like maybe even Brennan. I don't know. But do you think this is just the beginning?
Well, the president is after Senator Schiff of California over a mortgage issue, but that mortgage was taken out in 2012, so there's a statute of limitations bar. The president is also after New York Attorney General James, but a grand jury has twice declined to indict her. I don't know what the charges are against John Brennan. I don't think there'd be a statute of limitations bar because the president's complaints about Brennan are of his behavior while he was the head of the CIA, which is during the Biden administration. So the standard 5-year statute of limitations would probably, which was almost a bar here, by the way, Comey's answer no was given on September 30th, 2020. So that 5-year statute of limitations would run this coming Tuesday. That's the reason for the rush to get this done. But in terms of John Brennan, there's no statute problem. I don't know what the crime is, the alleged crime against Brennan.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of that testimony, as I listened to it and caught the rhythm of that testimony, it was so interesting how his first answer was never, and then his second answer was no. And I was thinking, I don't know all about linguistics and everything else, but it seemed to be very marked that there was a difference between never and no. So I don't know. It's kind of odd.
Well, it's the no that I think, they haven't revealed the indictment. I think it's the no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's surprising. He gave another wacky answer to Senator Lindsey Graham. The answer was something like, well, that doesn't ring a bell with me. Neither Graham, a lawyer, nor Senator Cruz, who asked the question that provoked a no answer, a lawyer, followed up with other questions. They just went on to another subject matter.
Yeah.
In a real courtroom, when you have evidence that the witness is lying, just take the no. You present the evidence to impeach the witness. You confront him. But these two guys, I guess, are lawyers in name only. They don't really practice law. They've been senators for many years. Look, they're both my friends. I'm sure I'm going to hear about it from them. I'm not critical of them. I'm just saying I'm surprised that they didn't follow up.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of odd, and you're right. I guess they're not practiced in prosecution, but it should have stood out to them. Well, Judge Napolitano, I guess, are you off for the rest? I mean, you can't be. So, are you going to be on Newsmax today and beyond?
I'll be on Newsmax a few times late this afternoon and tonight.
Yeah. Whatever plans you had at the farm are not going to be there this time around. At least for another week.
There you go.
All right, my friend. Love you so much. Thank you so much for everything. And don't forget, folks, Judging Freedom, one of the greatest YouTube podcasts on the planet. And you guys make sure you check that out. And, of course, The Judge on Newsmax. So thank you so much for your input today, my friend.
Thank you, Jamie. God love you.
God love you, too. Thank you. That is Judge Andrew Napolitano. Yeah. It's Fancy Friday, people. That's what this is. Which is why it's so important to have someone like Anita O'Day on, because this is like an Anita O'Day day. You guys know who Anita O'Day is? Man, is she a trip. She was at the Newport Jazz Festival, and she I probably shouldn't be doing this right now because this is not why you're here, but I fell in love with the first time I looked into them eyes. So she was so cool, and she came to the Newport Jazz Festival and sang this song that was so different than anybody had ever heard it sang in that. I'll find it for you. And she was dressed like so just crazy, vintagey 1950s Newport Jazz Festival. And she just rocked everybody. Like, wow, who is this? Well, anyway, marijuana arrest, heroin arrest later. She became this wonderful older woman, you know. The story behind her is, so when she was younger, she had a tonsillectomy and they accidentally removed her uvula. So she couldn't do kind of the vibrato that other singers could do. So she had to use her voice to create a vibrato. Telling you, people. You learn something new every day, don't you? You will wow your friends with that factoid at your cocktail party tonight. If you're not already in bed after the 3-martini lunch, and that's what this is, it's the Alllman Report on News Talk STL.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. And I have to tell you, so I've known Rodney and Jen for a long time. They're great people. They're heavily involved in, for instance, the Angels Arms charity, which is great. It's a charity for foster children. And actually, Jen Walner was a foster child. And so she wanted to give back to the community. That's exactly what she's doing. And they are amazing as a couple because they're the top home selling team in all the Berkshire Hathaway network. And so when they list your home, you're guaranteed to have this home sold. I mean, the way they list it, create this competition for you, for your home, where they have this feeding frenzy on it. They pull out all the stops on the pictures, everything else. And on top of that, they give you the lowest commission you're going to find anywhere in the land. And they work their butts off to get it sold. And that's how we go. I'm a buyer's agent, so I represent you if you're going. I also do some listings as well, but I'm a buyer's agent primarily. And so if you want to buy a home, I'm the one who shows it to you, talks you through the process, does the negotiation for you so you get the best price and the best deal you could possibly get. And I'm there for you before, during, and after the sale. So I love it. And I hope you can dial 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC. Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Yes, indeed, everybody. One by one, justice is coming to the heroes of the left. One by one, we're toppling the statues of the left. And they can start to, or keep up their violence or what have you, but we're going to keep cutting the heads off of the multi-pronged snake that is the left network. By the way, I was just wondering, just really quickly, and this is a calculation of mine, and not something that I just want to ask you, like, how do some conservatives support a radio station that is, I guess, calls itself conservative, but it's supported by George Soros, who supports and funds violence against conservatives? I don't know how you do that. I really don't. I don't know how you take money from them either. If you're a radio company, how do you take money from a guy like that? And then turn it around and put a bunch of people up who are supposedly conservative to talk on this radio station that is funded by basically a terrorist. I just don't, it doesn't make any sense to me. And yet people still turn it on and, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, but you know, but you're not paying for it, so you're not, I guess, funding it. But my goodness gracious, well, how you do that? I'm just not making that up. That's like real, you know. None of my business. I'm just kind of trying to just lay it out there. Just be honest with everybody, you know. So this is interesting. Joe Scarborough is. I mean, this is literally 2 weeks after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Joe Scarborough is calling James Comey a martyr. And for instance, how is it possible that you could possibly think that this is okay as a position to take when you've got all these individuals who have been responsible for not only acting nefariously and underhandedly and against the rule of law, and then you had them all on the air with you. So MSNBC, is it still? I thought it was. I thought it was supposed to be they named it differently, but I'm still seeing MSNBC. So what is this? What is this? I thought they renamed themselves. I don't know. I mean, I don't keep up with that kind of stuff, but I thought they renamed themselves. All right. Well, I mean, Joe, explain to us your position, please. I mean,
it bears repeating. You do this,
You turn the person you hate into a mortar. You make them bigger than ever. You unite people behind them.
Yeah. You know what James Comey's going to find is that there will be hardly anybody except the prostitutes in the media uniting behind James Comey. There will be very few people. And now you know why James Comey, of course, did that whole weird and by the way, this guy is one of the weirdest dudes on the planet. I mean, I actually think the guy, if he's not already medicated, he needs to be. He's the weirdest mofo on the planet. I've seen him speak in person at the Maryville University thing. The guy, when you look at him on his videos, the guy has this, I guess back in the 1800s, they called it melancholia. But man, is that guy weird. I mean, I'm telling you what, he is just off the charts bizarre. Does all these videotapes he does. It's like,
but I'm not afraid.
Yeah, you are.
And I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it.
Yeah.
Which it does.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's got eyes like the Geico lizard, all far apart and everything. It's a weird looking dude. But yeah, so interestingly enough, when you look at this tape from way back in the day, remember he was talking about that being a Taylor Swift fan. So I don't even think the Swifties are going to come to his defense. I mean, I don't even think the Swifties are going to be there for him. This isn't going to be. I mean, do you see anybody out there except people in the news media going to bat for James Comey? And you know what's interesting is that there are a lot of people, and James Comey probably doesn't like this, but there are a lot of people who don't even know who he is. Like a lot of young people, they don't even know who he is. So the only people who really gravitate towards James Comey are the same ones who kind of gravitate towards Jimmy Kimmel. Like, for instance, after my Jimmy Kimmel thing the other day, some moo-moo wearing lib from Webster Groves calls me, leaves me a message. I can't believe what you're saying about Molly and Jimmy Kimmel. That's terrible. Even though I was like actually almost defending him. I was glad he was back on the air. But she was like, Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, oh my Lord. Because people all went to him. A lot of older people went to Jimmy Kimmel, kind of like they do to other people, because they want to be somehow pacified. They want somebody to stick a sucker in their mouth so they can go to sleep, because they can't believe that President Trump is president. So they have to kind of, that last moment before they go to bed, they have to kind of, have something to have stuck in their mouth. And so Jimmy Kimmel was just that. James Comey is also kind of, for some people, a go-to guy on Instagram or whatever. But most younger people don't even know who he is.
Donald Trump understood this in his own political campaign. And yet he's now making Comey a martyr for the rule of law.
I think it's martyr, but he keeps saying mortar. I mean, what do I know? I've only been in broadcasting 40 years. So.
A martyr for the rule of law.
Yeah, a martyr for the rule of law. I mean, this is a guy who lied to Congress. And it is so obvious that he did. I was talking to Judge Napolitano earlier about all this. When he, never and no and all that kind of stuff. I can play it for you later. You probably heard it already. The moment that James Comey lied. And so this is going to be very, very complicated. It's going to be great for us. Then Adam Schiff is next. I think John Brennan's going to be indicted also. And, I talked about this a while back with my buddy Phil Valencia. Yeah, because I wanted him at one point to make a Nuremberg trial box graphic for me. And because that's what we need a Nuremberg trial box with all the people who tried to, it wasn't about destroying Donald Trump. It was about destroying the country so that they could maintain control and authority. It's interesting. These are the same people who call Donald Trump authoritarian, who broke the laws and even any kind of protocol you can imagine to undermine President Trump. Who's the authoritarian when that happens?
That will be the first line in his obituary. That he was an FBI director, but
wow, his obituary. Comey's like, all right, Joe, can you stop where you stopped before there? Please don't start talking about my obituary.
He became a martyr because a president said on social media.
Well, so I mean, that's not the greatest type of advocacy when you are advocating for somebody and you're talking about their obituary. It's kind of like that. Some of that doesn't really make sense. Oh yeah. BB had a few things to say to those third world midgets today at the UN. I'll bring that to you. And Alvin Bragg, yet another injustice, this time involving a pro-life supporter beaten on the streets of New York. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Alllman Report on News Talk STL.
.1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about the barn. You guys know about Columbia, Illinois? Do you know what a really powerhouse, amazing town that is? Well, downtown Columbia is historic, and there is a place called the Barn, offering unique experiences, upscale feel, and your visit will be unforgettable. More than 100 different bourbons, 30 vodkas, people. 30 vodkas. I didn't even know they made 30 different vodkas. Well, the Barn has them. Expansive outdoor patio, an upstairs banquet facility, seating up to 50. And you can call for the rates there. Plus, they have a private gaming area, which is really cool. You know, people forget that, you know, even upscale places, it has to be fun. So they have these 6 games. J&J Gaming have these games that you could play. And then there's live music every Friday and Saturday. They have these games. These are kind of like your adult party games, but not adult party. You know what I mean? Don't get that out of your, okay, dirty minds. Stop that. I'm talking about people who are older party games like Last Queen Standing and Extreme Bar Bingo every Thursday. Then there's Tequila Tuesdays. That's where I'm going to be hanging out because I love some tequila, even though you can't make a martini out of a tequila. Actually, there's no such thing as a vodka martini. It's only gin. And so, but tequila I'll sip here and there. But the Barn, look it up. Google the Barn right there in downtown Columbia, Illinois, and get your butts over there because it is a great place, and they love supporting free, common sense, conservative radio.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Newsteaders fine jewelry, my friends. And I love to say this because it is true. And I love saying true things. And this true thing is this. There are a lot of people who sell jewelry. And that's what they do. They just sell jewelry. You walk in and there is a salesman standing at the counter and they show you stuff. And that's pretty much it. At Newsteaders Fine Jewelry, wowdiamonds.com, they are jewelers. They are people who know every single product that that you might be looking at. So you're looking at the gold. So they source this gold only in specialized places. So they're not taking gold from the usual places. They're taking it from some place that they have vetted, that they love. And gold is hot now. So if you go in there this weekend or even today, check it out. They have all kinds of beautiful gold presentations for you. They have these wonderful emeralds, gems. So they have emeralds and sapphires and rubies. Do you guys, I mean, isn't it interesting? Because I have not seen a sapphire forever because people really don't wear sapphires anymore. But you should, because they're beautiful. Oh, my Lord, these are beautiful. Rubies, emeralds, you name it. They're gorgeous and classic vintage stuff. Speaking of vintage, if you have, I was going through some of my mom's jewelry. And, I got a couple pieces, for the girls and all the grandkids are getting little pieces of my mom's jewelry. And a couple of them are really beautifully reimagined. So, well, I'll tell you later. But anyway, what I'm saying is you can take a piece of jewelry. They'll reimagine it for you, recreate it for you, put it into something more modern. And it is absolutely beautiful. And so you got to make sure you go with people who are all about customer service. Keep in mind, Christmas isn't far off. They have a layaway plan for you. They have a wish list there for you as well. They have the Bulova watches for you as well. God is welcome here above the door. Check it out. wowdiamonds.com. That's wowdiamonds.com.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
The White House is saying if the Democrats are going to shut down the government, expect mass firings.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
When I grow up to be a man, will I dig the same things that turned me on as a kid? Will I look back and say that I wish I hadn't done what I did?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's a fancy Friday. It's the Alllman Report on News Talk STL. Well, so I'm going to get to this before I get to this. So I was talking about the jewelry with wowdiamonds.com. So a while back, there's this really super beautiful picture of my mom. It's one of my favorite pictures of her ever. And it's when she was probably about, 28, 29, 30 years old, whatever. I don't know. But it looks like she's there. And oh, my Lord, Katie, who's my oldest daughter, is the spitting image of her. It is just crazy. And they're very close, which is nice. So, and my mom went to school in Columbia and Missouri. and she went for it wasn't design, it was design illustration. So my mom at one point wanted to do, it was Stevens College, and she wanted to do design illustration. And because my mom all her life had this really great sense of fashion. And I don't mean like fashion as in opulent fashion or whatever. I mean very simply stated fashion. So she dressed us up like you wouldn't believe. I mean, so this is funny because we still have them. Like when my grandparents, and we're German and everything else. And so my mom one time, because my grandma gave him to her, dressed us up in lederhosen to go to church. Can you believe that? You know what lederhosen are? You know those things that they wear in the Sound of Music? It's like, and my brother Paul was laughing, and he was crying because he was so embarrassed having to wear it. I was like, what's the trouble, people? I love wearing this. So anyway, my mom would dress it. I worked at a house. Shit. Could you imagine wearing lederhosen now? Nazis. But anyway, my mom would dress us up. Like if we had a Thanksgiving dinner at the house, you were wearing a coat and tie. You were wearing it, or at least a tie. As a kid, I was, 7, I was wearing a tie, but you were dressed up. My mom was like insistent on that and had these beautiful, understated types of dresses and things like that. She reminded my grandma because my grandma was kind of that soft, strong, feminine type, who was the greatest gardener. We get her hands dirty. And then at night, pop on these pearls and a beautiful dress and host a bunch of people in Geneva, Switzerland. It's like, wow. So anyway, this picture of my mom is beautiful. I'll put it on the internet for you on the Facebook page. Is beautiful. So she's sitting there and she's got this beautiful dress on, like this black dress, sitting there smiling, and she's wearing this really interesting necklace. I'll never forget it because when I'd make the arrangements of decorations for the parties we'd have for her birthdays. I'd always get these blow up pictures of her, and blow them up, and just her baby pictures or her teenage pictures, whatever, and just gotta have them around. One day I made masks that were held on popsicle sticks, so it was her face and then our eyes. So anyway, that picture I blew up, and I'll never forget asking her about it because I said, Mom, what is that necklace? Because it's just beautiful, but it was big and brass. And I asked her, I said, what is that necklace? What is that? You still, she goes, well, that's horse brass. And I'm like, horse brass? Well, back in the day, mostly in Europe, but I think they do it here too. They would make jewelry out of the brass that were part of the bridle of a saddle on a horse. And in case you've noticed the saddle, they have the brass fittings on the bridle. I think it's the one where they come together and you hold it, or I don't know. But anyway, it's this beautiful piece of brass. And he goes, oh no, that's horse brass. I got it from my mom. And so apparently it's been in the family for like 80 years or no. What am I talking about? Yeah. 90 years or something like that. And I said, do you still have it? And she's like, well, somewhere, and I wasn't like I was asking for it. This was like 5 years ago. It wasn't like I was asking for anything. I was like, do you still have this? I'd love to see it. Yeah, I have it someplace. And so that conversation went away. And then my mom passes away last Wednesday, and my sisters and I are going through all the stuff, and we're going through her jewelry box, and I asked them, I said, can you guys look for the horse brass? And I showed them the picture of the necklace from the picture. You guys look for this? And my sister Allison found it. Because I had to go, but my sister Allison found the actual necklace my mom is wearing in that picture, and I'm just overjoyed because I'm going to give it to Katie, and then Katie can do what she wants with it. And again, if she wants it reimagined into another piece of jewelry, I'll take it. to wowdiamonds.com. And Newsteaders find jewelry right there, Dorothy Ferry and Big Big. But it was kind of amazing to see this picture and then to see her and to be holding this very thing my mom wore when she was all of about 28 years old. Really pretty crazy. Speaking of crazy, here's a video compilation, although it's audio for you, of the media refusing to say the ICE shooter's motive, even though they have an ammo message and a note and everything else. These guys will not say it.
There's no explicitly leftist motive here. Instead, it was motivated by maybe a hatred of ICE.
Despite the motive in this case not yet being clear, the President Trump, almost immediately blamed what he called radical left Democrats.
Well, it certainly says that it may point to motive. But I would not jump to any conclusions just yet.
So there's this performative nature to this. So he hates ICE, say, but that's not enough.
And while President Trump and members of his administration are tying this attack to what they call rhetoric on the left against ICE and law enforcement, investigators on the ground here say that the shooter's motive remains unclear.
We do not know, however, the motive of the shooter.
So we don't know if this shooter was actually targeting the detainees who were shot or ICE officials.
We don't know.
Nuanced distinction. Someone can perform something that is politically motivated, but not be aligned with a political movement.
Motive still being investigated.
These people are absolutely propagandists off their rockers on top of being liars. I mean, this is just, when you watch this, you're thinking, how do you consciously, how can you call yourself a journalist and consciously lie or whitewash or misrepresent, or it just is, it's shocking to me. And you guys are like, wait a minute, weren't you just talking about your mom's necklace? I'm like, yeah. How'd you go from your mom's necklace to the ICE sniper stuff? I'm like, well, that's why they pay me the big bucks, right? That's why, you didn't even notice, did you? I suddenly just was talking to you about my mom's necklace, and then suddenly about the how much I can't stand the legacy media and the ICE sniper. See how you do that? Yeah, that's exactly how we do that. Yeah. Hey, you people, guess what? You know what? The news media has a legacy of sloughing off and rationalizing violence. And guess how I can prove that? Well, you remember Sarah Jane Moore? She tried to kill Gerald Ford. Now she's dead at 95. But there is a video and audio, in your case, that you need to hear. And you'll see how this has been a long time running. The left-wing media's rationalization of violence. This is Common Sense Radio on this fancy Friday. News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Jamie Alllman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there at 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find. The Hideout right there in High Ridge.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head,
is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. The president's tariff wars are starting to pay off. President Trump says he'll divert some tariff revenues to U.S. farmers. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president's tariff policies have financially hurt some American farmers, and he plans to give them help.
We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit.
During his first term, U.S. farmers also endured a drop in demand, and the Trump administration helped to rescue them financially. Greg Clugston, the White House.
This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the United Nations General Assembly. He rebuked European countries like France and Great Britain for officially recognizing a so-called Palestinian state in the Middle East. In protest, some UN delegates walked out during the Prime Minister's speech. President Trump issued a warning to the radical left on Thursday, warning its acts of political violence that could eventually lead to a violent response.
The right is a lot tougher than the left, but the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people.
The president made his remarks in response to the shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas. For 2 weeks, Memphis has been bracing for an influx of National Guard troops after President Trump announced his intention to deploy them to that city. Today, residents finally learned more about the plan. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says an influx of additional federal law enforcement agents will focus on crime in Memphis starting next week. National Guard members will not make arrests and will not be armed. The Dow had 344 points, the NASDAQ adding 64. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The Federal Reserve just cut interest rates, and that could be big news for the price of physical gold and silver. That's why Advantage Gold invites you to call 800-741-GOLD. Call now and you'll get your free gold and silver information kit, and you could qualify for up to $10,000 in free gold and silver with your IRA or 401k rollover. Advantage Gold has been ranked the #1 gold company in America for the last 10 years, and with the U.S. dollar facing serious devaluation, now is the time to act. We've partnered with former IMF chief economist Kenneth Rogoff, and when you call 800-741-GOLD, you'll also receive his best-selling book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, absolutely free. Gold and silver are real, tangible assets that have protected wealth for centuries. Advantage Gold helps you move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals, tax-free and penalty-free. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-4653 now. That's 800-741-GOLD.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
My goodness, what a weekend we have lined up for you. Starting today with sunny skies and relatively low humidity. We're talking about dew points in the mid-50s, so you might notice some humidity, but it won't be bad at all. And that's going to be the case all weekend. Low 80s today and sunny, mid-80s on Saturday, mid to upper 80s on Sunday, sunny and dry all weekend long. Enjoy it. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link.
You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
place to talk. News Talk STL.
I can't get my feet up off the edge. I kinda like the little rush you get when you're standing close to death.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. Jamie Alllman here with you. Ashland over there on the keyboards. Scotty Opelt. So, yeah, I know, man. Man, I'm going to find this. So Scotty took me up on my suggestion to look up Anita O'Day at the Newport Jazz Festival. And you're like, oh, what? Can you keep focused on any one thing? No, I cannot. It's a fancy Friday. Plus, I'm on my second martini. And so you got to just put up with it. So Anita O'Day, you can look it up. Anita O'Day at the Newport Jazz Festival. And this is around 1952 of sorts. And she is singing. And keep in mind, even though these people were at a jazz festival, right? They still were a little staid in what they considered jazz to be. Like jazz still had to be formed, and still had to stay in its lane. They didn't want too much craziness. They had Miles Davis, Coltrane, that kind of thing, and they riffed, but they still wanted, even though in that 50s category, that especially early 50s, wanted their jazz to be to be in a lane. So Anita O'Day goes up on the stage and sings Sweet Georgia Brown. And nobody had ever heard Sweet Georgia Brown sung like this before. She's so cute too. And these people are like, you guys know Sweet Georgia Brown. Sweet Georgia Brown. But she was like, they slowed it down. And they're all these people who are kind of like the pre-hipster beat generation type of jazz people are like, who is this and what is this? And she's dressed to the nines, has this amazing hat on, these white gloves or whatever, and they were just blown away, but they were confused. And so the cutaways on the video are all these people who it looks, by the way, like it could be now because it's in color, everything else. All these people kind of looking confused. So some of them were literally eating hot dogs and listening. It was like really, really amazing. So Like, what? Who is this chick?
She can't get.
But in the end, that's just the kind of girl she was, and she was great. So. And this is where they started to bounce around because she was singing T for Two a little more traditionally. So that's just. Anyway, Scotty, glad you looked at it, and that's my Anita O'Day story for this Fancy Friday. All right, here, people. So Sarah Jane Moore tried to kill Gerald Ford. This was September 22nd in San Francisco outside the St. Francis Hotel, September 22, 1975. And she was this middle-aged radical, a mom of 4. And she fired 2 shots at President Ford. And she missed. And it was one of those things where there she was. Everybody was shocked by it. And she was hoping to start a revolution, apparently. And she was tried, convicted, and sentenced to prison for life. And you'd think somebody who was convicted of trying to kill the president of the United States and sentenced to life would be in prison until they die. Not that it's, I guess you could say, well, it is the president, but she'd be in prison until they die. Well, she got parole. And she was freed on parole a few years later and wound up in a nursing home and then died at the age of 95. So 10 years ago, CNN interviewed Sarah Jane Moore. Alllman Report is the interviewer. And it is shocking when you listen to this and you listen to the line of questioning and you listen to how Alllman Report didn't ever even ask her any tough questions. In fact, it seemed to me that Alllman Report was essentially just making her some kind of hero, like rationalizing her act. You can decide for yourself.
Aimed a gun at President Gerald Ford in San Francisco and fired a single bullet. The bullet missed Ford by inches. That attempt came just 17 days after another woman, a Charles Manson follower, tried to assassinate Ford. Sarah Jane Moore received a life sentence for the attempted assassination, but she was released on parole in 2007. And Sarah Jane Moore is now speaking out and joins us this morning.
It's interesting that Sarah Jane Moore, I can't stand it when the news media use that term speaking out. Because they act, speaking out has some kind of virtue to it, Sarah Jane Moore is speaking out about her attempt to kill President Trump. Why don't you just say talking about it or something? But speaking out always seems to give it. Am I wrong or am I right about that? Speaking out always seems to give that whatever this person is saying some kind of virtue. And it's like, well, first of all, just even interviewing her is disturbing enough from that standpoint. But saying that Sarah Jane Moore is now speaking out about her experience trying to kill Gerald Ford.
2007, and Sarah Jane Moore is now speaking out and joins us this morning. What drove you to want to try to assassinate President Ford?
Oh, hey, what drove you? I mean, it's like, this is like so, it's almost like it's the same kind of questioning with the tone of what drove you to write a book about your experiences? What drove you to write a film? But it's like, what drove you to try to kill him?
Well, everybody asks that. And the thing is that everybody was talking about it. They say, where did you get the idea? I don't know about the rest of the country, but in San Francisco, people were saying this all the time. Number one.
Yeah. Sarah Jane Moore basically saying, where she got the idea. And she was saying, well, in San Francisco, everyone was talking about killing Gerald Ford. So I just decided to do it. I'm like, oh.
We elect our presidents, we don't appoint them. And Gerald Ford was appointed. And
Oh. So she clearly has no remorse whatsoever. So how did this old bag get parole to begin with 10 years ago? She's dead now, but how did she get parole to begin with? Did she say that to the parole board? Well, we elect our presidents and don't appoint them. And Gerald Ford was appointed, so I tried to kill him. I'm like, did she say that to the parole board? How did she get past the parole board with that kind of insinuation? Now, if I'm Alllman Camerata or any other interviewer, I'm stopping her and saying, wait. So you still have no remorse for what you did, or you still think what you did was justified? But we see none of that.
he was appointed by a crook, if you will pardon the expression.
So that's another reason for Gerald Ford to die, because he is appointed, and we don't appoint presidents, and he was appointed by a crook. So therefore, I was perfectly okay. At that point, if you're any kind of journalist, you're stepping in and you're saying, it sounds to me like you're justifying what you did even to this day.
So it wasn't a unique feeling. It was partly that there were other people who had talked about it, who I thought were much more important to what we were thinking of as the revolution. And we really, truly thought there was going to be one. And I thought somebody...
I mean, seriously, Alllman, I think she used to be on Fox.
Like me, I was a nobody. It would be better coming from somebody like me and not destroying these people who I felt were leaders. And if they
we don't want the leaders to kill somebody. I'll just kill them because I'm just a nobody. So basically, it seems like she's insinuating, and I don't know whether that is really obvious, but it seems to me she's insinuating that there was a level of recruitment or something going on, or that people were talking about it, like, hey, how about the nobody do it?
did this, it would destroy their leadership.
So you missed, obviously. And how long after you fired that bullet did the sort of realization, the enormity of what you tried to do dawn on you?
Yeah. It's interesting how Alllman Camerata, is not using any kind of word that connotes any negativity at all to the actions of Sarah Jane Moore. Are you picking up on that? So how far after you tried to kill Gerald Ford did you reflect on the enormity of what you did? Like, now, normally that's something you ask somebody who climbed Mount Everest or hit the 60th home run like that dude with the Mariners did last night. At what point after you conquered Mount Everest did you figure out the enormity of what you did? The better question to Sarah Jane Moore is, well, I guess you can't ask that question after she just boasted that she was justified in doing it. But I guess at some point you would expect Alllman Camerata to say, at what point after you fired did you realize how terrible of an act this was? Like, you just tried to kill the president. But no, instead, it's like the enormity of what you did.
How long after you fired that bullet did the sort of realization, the enormity of what you tried to do dawn on you?
Oh, I think the enormity of it had dawned on me before. As I said in a letter that I wrote to President Ford later, that I think life was more important then than it is now. It was sort of an awesome decision to make a decision to take somebody's life. I don't think people feel like that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's interesting that Sarah Jane Moore, I mean, you hear what I'm hearing? Oh, yes, it's an amazing responsibility to decide to take somebody's life. Like she's some kind of hero. This is astounding to me.
I think life was more important then than it is now. It was sort of an awesome decision to make a decision to take somebody's life. I don't think people feel like that now, but at the time it was. So the decision ahead of time, the thing that surprised me, and this probably sounds very silly, is I was concerned about the publicity, but only in the Bay Area. It never occurred to me that this was a story that was going to go all over the world.
Wow. Tell us more, Sarah Jane Moore. Just giggle more and tell us more about how tickled you were that the news went all around the world,
Oh my gosh. You served more than 30 years in prison. You got out in 2000.
More than 32 years.
More than 32 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, what an embellishment of how long you've been there. Alllman Report said 30 years. She goes, no, it was 32. Well, Sarah Jane Moore, it should have been 82 or whatever it was. It's like, no, I served 32 years. Well, you didn't. You mean, in other words, you didn't serve a life sentence. So don't act like 32 years was really a burden on you.
You got out of prison in 2007. You then were given 5 years of parole. Are you still on parole?
Yes, I am. The rules say that...
It's so interesting. Alllman Report has this terrible woman on who tried to kill the president of the United States, and now she's just chit-chatting with her. So, you still on parole, or... What do you normally have for breakfast, Sarah? I mean, she's sitting right there with you. There's so many questions you can ask her.
After 5 years of clear conduct, it's like your mandatory release. You're supposed to be released from parole. And I am now 7 years of clear conduct and have yet to be released from parole.
And why is that? I mean, I believe that you have gone on and proven as best you can to the court that you are now an upstanding citizen. You've turned over a new leaf. So what do they tell you?
Well, I was always a pretty good citizen. Let's not talk about turning over a new leaf.
Wow. You're a bad woman. First of all, I think she's obviously a narcissist, and she's a bad person, even after all this. Turned over a new leaf. Well, don't say that, Allison. I've always been amazing. I mean, can you believe what you're hearing here? And by the way, Sarah Jane Moore is probably kind of the matron saint of left-wing violence, and how they whitewash it, rationalize it, justify it, and feel that their actions are always justified, and even going all the way back 10 years, and then with Sarah Jane Moore, just 1975, Sarah Jane Moore, even in prison, still believed she was always an upstanding citizen. Unbelievable.
Yes, I am. The rules say that after 5 years of clear conduct, it's like your mandatory release. You're supposed to be released from parole. And I am now 7 years of clear conduct and have yet to be released from parole.
And why is that? I mean, I believe that you have gone on and proven as best you can to the court that you are now an upstanding citizen. You've turned over a new leaf. So what do they tell you?
Well, I was always a pretty good citizen. Let's not talk about turning over a new leaf.
And actually, if I'm Alllman Report, I'm like, well, no. You're saying you tried to kill a president of the United States, Sarah Jane Moore. How can you say you were always a pretty good citizen? That's at that point, Allison, that's what you ask her. Don't let her babble on in this narcissistic fashion. I mean, at this point, you've got to step in, Allison, and don't let her get away with this. Well, no, I'm not. Don't you dare talk about turning over a new leaf. I'm like, seriously? I mean, you can't even have the humility of understanding what you did. But of course, it doesn't help that Allison is kind of cheering her on and all this other nonsense.
So what do they tell you?
Well, I was always a pretty good citizen. Let's not talk about turning over a new leaf. Nothing. The first time that they turned me down, I was shocked because one would have thought that.
Man, she's brutally reprehensible. She is psychotic and she is narcissistic. This woman has a gigantic ego, even after all this. No remorse, no humility, no nothing. And this is bred into the left when they commit acts of violence. We're seeing it right now, what's happening. They believe that the murder of Charlie Kirk was justified. And if they don't believe that, they're like, well, I don't know. He's the one who said stuff. I'm an innocent bystander. I'm not going to say anything.
Nothing. The first time that they turned me down, I was shocked because one would have thought the incident had happened the day before. The way they talked about me, and I just.
And she calls it the incident. Well, they acted like it happened the day before. You tried to kill a president. Well, they acted like it just happened the day before, darn them. The incident. Man, she's typical of a lot of criminals too, when they're interviewed. When somebody's raped or stabbed or shot, they'll talk about it like, well, that incident involving they'll talk like that because they're so hardened in their heart. They are psychotic, so they can't feel any kind of empathy or anything. Like they can't feel anything. So they use words that rationalize those kinds of things, and it doesn't help that Alison Camerata is doing the same thing.
Because one would have thought the incident had happened the day before. The way they talked about me, and I was in total shock.
Yeah, because apparently everybody in your sphere always said Sarah Jane Moore was amazing.
And they repeated much the same this time. They're supposed to release you unless they feel that you're going to commit another offense. And I don't know what offense I would commit. Jaywalking, perhaps?
No, probably murder, girl. Because you have that psychotic nature in you, like almost it's like this serial killer thing where you are numb to harming other people or trying to harm other people. So keeping her in as long as they did is probably a good move. I have no doubt that prison psychologists and other people who evaluated her probably said the same thing. Like, this witch is going to kill somebody. We need to keep her in until she's at least like 80 years old or something. 70 years old or whatever. We need to let her get to the point where, because they could tell probably in interviewing her that she had no remorse.
Well, I mean, there you have it. I mean, I say you've turned over a new leaf and you bristle at that, but you tried to kill the president of the United States.
Thank you, Allison. It's about time. This is 3 minutes and 37 seconds into the interview with this wench. I mean, it's about time.
Yes, but it makes it sound like I was a totally different person, and I was pretty much the person I am now.
Oh, well, then no wonder they kept you in. Even Ashton's like, yeah, I mean, that's like, well, I'm pretty much the same person I was then when I tried to kill the president. I don't know how the parole board even gave her parole.
Had gotten into something over my head, I will admit that. Had quit listening to reason. So for a little while, I was a different person.
Yeah, you're not listening to reason now. I mean, this is...
In terms of being your ordinary, normal citizen who gets up and goes to work and I think the most... I think the only criminal I'd had before I'd gotten a ticket for jaywalking.
Mm-hmm. This is unbelievable. Remember this interview because we're experiencing this same kind of lack of remorse and justification and rationalization, not only in the journalistic corps like Allison Camerata. She finally actually said, you did try to kill somebody. But Sarah Jane Moore, my goodness gracious. I mean, I'm glad she's gone. And I don't know. I'm not glad for the death of anybody really, but she seems to me to be somebody who, even at the age of 85 that she did this interview, she could still kill somebody and be okay with it. I can't believe the parole board kept me in prison the first time after I told them I'm the same person now that I was when I tried to kill Gerald Ford. I don't understand. It's unbelievable. But dead serious, so people, this is the left 2025. This is Common Sense Radio.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Yes, my friends. Dr. Ogile is my friend. ClaytonSleep.com. It's ClaytonSleep.com. Dr. Ogile is an amazing human being. He's been my sleep doctor for heaven knows how long. How long now? 15 years almost. Well, since he was first supporting free common sense conservative radio. The Dr. Ogile way is to make sure that you're getting a better sleep, because a better sleep means a better life. That's what it's all about. So when it comes to all the things that you have afflicting you, you have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is one of those things where people are tricked into believing they're getting a good night's sleep, but their breathing stopping and they're snoring and they're bothering the people who are in the bed with them. It's just kind of disruptive for everybody. And then in the end, what happens is you're falling asleep. And actually, you're getting fat too, because your metabolism slows when you're not getting enough sleep. Your body's trying to kind of save energy, so to speak, because you are wasting it. So get that fixed, and you can get it fixed a couple of ways. You can go to the clinics, which are comfortable. They're like boutique hotel rooms, or you can take home apparatus and settle it that way. And so make sure you do that with Joe Ogile and the Clayton Sleep Institute, ClaytonSleep.com. Also, at the same time, insomnia. He can help you with that. Pediatric sleep problems. He can help all of you with that, whether it's your grandchildren or your own children. And, of course, restless leg syndrome, all that kind of stuff, super important for you to resolve once and for all. Remember, you can go to the clinics, very comfortable, or you can get take-home apparatus. But one of the things for sure is you're going to have your sleep problem solved, lickety-splickety, with the Clayton Sleep Institute, ClaytonSleep.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that, because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Alllman Report on News Talk STL.
On the corner of Main Street, just trying to keep it in line. You say you want to move on, and you say I'm falling.
Jamie Alllman here, happy to be with you. 101.9 and 94.1. Doug Giles has the day off, in case you're wondering where he is on this fancy Friday. President Trump taking a trip to the Ryder Cup in Farmingdale, New York. And he, of course, stood in the driveway of the club, and which is what he does. He and answers questions. It's great to see somebody who doesn't just kind of dodder right past the reporters. I mean, now you know why when President Trump took the a couple days off. Now you know why there was this collective panic among the people in the news media and the internet, because they had nothing to talk about if President Trump wasn't there. They had nothing to occupy them if President Trump wasn't around, because their minds are empty, vacated, and they are obsessed with President Trump. So when their obsession isn't there, they don't have anything to bounce off of. Do you guys know? I'm not going to get too far into this because I'm not big into this whole thing with psychoanalysis. But you know what a narcissist does, right? A narcissist feeds off of gaslighting you and negativity. So a narcissist isn't whole until you react to them negatively and beyond. So a narcissist must have you to incite, because a narcissist feeds off of your angst and especially off of you losing your temper or doing whatever. So if you just remain silent to a narcissist jabs or passive aggressive thing, it drives the narcissist crazy, because they're like a leech or something that needs constant feeding. And usually a narcissist will target people, individuals, in order to latch onto them, in order to feed their insecurities and their egos and their need to have somebody suffer in their midst so they can be powerful. If you've ever had anybody like that in your life, it's crazy. I mean, but you'll notice that once you stop reacting to them, it drives them crazy. So similarly, if you look at the amalgamation of the left on the internet and beyond, they are not happy, and they don't feel any self-worth at all unless they have somebody to attack and maybe even to get a reaction out of, whatever. So when President Trump disappears, they all go nuts because they don't know what to do, because negativity and their obsession with this person who they need to have as their target disappears. It drives them crazy. So anyway, to my point, President Trump loves talking to reporters, does it all the time. And here's what he had to say when the reporter tries to kind of egg him on with a leading question.
President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
So that's crazy. That sounded like Peter Ducey, actually, but maybe not. But if that's Peter, whatever reporter it is, you have to say, like, dude, it's not that you just indicted an FBI director for the sake of indicting an FBI director. James Comey lied to Congress. So, I mean, unless there's something to be indicted about, it probably wouldn't happen. I mean, why is that so hard for a reporter to understand, you know?
President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me for 4 years. They went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from, 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse. And some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
Because that's how it went, where they made you go and take a mugshot. Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. Everybody knew it. And it's, as far as the case is concerned, he gave an answer. It was just.
So that was Peter Ducey. Thank you, Scott. It sounded like him. I mean, unless Peter Ducey was kind of intending his questions to kind of tee it up for President Trump, I would think that Peter Ducey wouldn't be that stupid because he normally isn't. But apparently, yeah. Where's the mugshot of James Comey, by the way? Maybe they don't do that in the federal system or what? Where's the mugshot of James Comey? Well, this is Common Sense Radio, people. It's the Alllman Report on News Talk STL. Alvin Bragg is at it again. Total injustice for a woman who was beaten for her pro-life views by a pro-abortion person on the streets of New York. I mean, it's violence. That's it. That's the left's only tool, and it's being upheld by the people who are supposed to be meting out justice. We'll follow up on that on this fancy Friday. It is Common Sense Radio.
You talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Window World. Thank you, Window World, for your support of free common sense conservative radio. I love talking about you because I know I can do it confidently, because I know Window World, simply the best for less, 314-993-1800. Window World has the best replacement windows you're going to find anywhere in the land. And that's just not me saying it. That's Qualified Remodeler Magazine acknowledging they're the number one seller. And so that's pretty crazy. Good housekeeping seal of approval. Window World will even tell you, hey, we love our windows so much that we have a lifetime warranty on the windows. So for glass breakage, parts, labor, a lifetime warranty. So it won't happen. Nothing will happen to them. And if something does, then we've got a warranty on it. It'll be replaced. And on top of that, strongest windows, thermally superior to all the rest, which basically means that you're never going to have to worry about heating, cooling bills. I mean, there are some windows out there, and I'm telling you, they're not double pane glass. The Window World window is double pane glass. If they're not double pane glass, you're basically just cooling the outside, and then the winter comes, you're heating the outside. So you don't want that to happen. They're durable. They offer security because of their double panedness, which isn't a word, but that's okay. Window World allows me to make up words in the English language. That's how great they are. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. And plus, people, you're also going to get a financing plan. If you're doing a whole house project or whatever you want to do, you're going to love the financing plan. It'll make it really super easy for you. 314-993-1800, simply the best for less. Window World, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
You've worked hard for your money, so protect it. Meet my friend Bob Leslie and ask about the Gain and Retain plan. Leslie Consulting, 40 years in the St. Louis area as a leader in brokerage and risk management. Call 314-721-0066, 721-0066. Oh, and ask Bob how he was the LA Dodger #1 pick. LeslieConsulting.com.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks, Missouri for many years. They're a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks, Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. Royal Banks of Missouri is reinvesting in its hometown, University City. They've now opened the doors to their new location at 8550 Olive Boulevard at the corner of Olive and McKnight. Stop by to see their refreshed look with the same exceptional Royal Bank service you know and trust. Learn more about the move in University City by visiting royalbanksofmo.com today. That's Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Ladies and gentlemen, Woods Basement Systems, all things basement-y. Dave Thompson, I've known him for a long time. He's a great guy. And if you call them or if you hear the commercials, you'll usually hear his voice on there. Dave has been the one kind of shepherding all the work that's been done on 2 houses of mine already. So my old house there in Richmond Heights really just did great work with that. Had to have that waterproofed and everything else. Then moved into a house that's built in 1910, beautiful home, but had some basement issues, some leak issues, water issues. And so Dave and the team had to come out and fix that. They did a great job. And then suddenly it rained like hell about 2 weeks ago. And I noticed she had another little crack. So they're going to have to come back. And I'm glad because they're all things basement-y and JamieLovesWoods.com. That's not me talking in third person. That's me saying that's the website, JamieLovesWoods.com. You go there, you tell them that you love the show. If you go to that, there's a special offer for you already built into the JamieLovesWoods.com deal. And especially as we get into the fall, the blustery times, those kinds of things, you got to make sure that you're going to go with the highest rated and most reviewed company in the realm of all things basement-y. And on top of that, if you've got a patio or you've got a driveway that seems to be cattywampus, then they will fix that as well because they do concrete leveling, and that is amazing. That's their new thing, foundation repair and waterproof and leaking cracks, but also settling concrete leveling. JamieLovesWoods.com. That's JamieLovesWoods.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Join me and Tim tomorrow at the Hideout. We'll be doing our show live, of course, from 4 to 6. I may even let you eat some of my crack fries.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
To be young and in love in New York City. To not know who I am, but still know that I'm good long as you're here with me. To be drunk and in love in New York City. Midnight into morning coffee.
Good afternoon, everyone. 3 martini lunch, my friends. Boy, what a beautiful day today. My goodness, there hardly was a cloud in the sky. Tomatoes are all growing. Loving life right now, hey? It's so nice when you have all this rain and the sun comes out and the plants are all been rained on and they're all happy and everything. All right, so this is a sad thing because in New York City, this happened, you know. You remember that beating? This is so sad. I mean, the fact that these beasts are getting away with just beating people up and nothing happens to them. It's not right. You know, we remember the days of the Black Lives Matter thing and all this stuff and Antifa, and these guys would burn things and beat people up and march through restaurants and harass people. Nothing ever happened to them. And by the way, you saw, I was up in D.C. in 2017 with my then 12-year-old son. We had to stay in our hotel room that night because they were burning stuff that night. Before that, the Pink Hats were all out in the afternoon. It never ends. And so we had to hide because you never knew. I wouldn't want my son to get hurt or anything. So we you know, and then we had the people who were going to the Trump rallies, preyed upon and attacked by people, crowbars, eggs, you name it, fists. That's unbelievable. You know, all the culmination, the Charlie Kirk assassination was only, well, I don't mean only, but you know what I'm saying, was mainly a culmination of years of violence. And I said, going back to 1975 and the Sarah Jane Moore debacle. But it was a culmination of that. And I'm not reducing anything about the Charlie Kirk assassination, but I'm saying it was completely expected. In fact, Charlie Kirk, when he was on Bill Maher's show, I had that before. Did you see this? Just one quick aside. I can't stand Bill Maher, so I'm off the Bill Maher train. Just so you guys know, I don't care whether he loves Trump or not, whatever he says. So Charlie Kirk is being interviewed by Bill Maher, and Bill Maher does this. His guests sit in the chair, and it was sort of like these 2-chair thing, and it's Bill Maher who walks out to be greeted by his guest. Unbelievable. I just couldn't stand it. Anyway, I got to get to this because I'm running out of time, and tomorrow's Saturday, so I can't double back on this Saturday. Here's the deal. This Alvin Bragg, who's a Soros-funded DA, you know, the George Soros who funds radio stations all over the country, including in St. Louis, but not this one. Let this violent pro-abortion thug free. After there was this on-camera assault, I'm going to let the victim go ahead and tell you the story.
On April 3rd, 2025, I, Savannah Craven Entau, was brutally assaulted in the streets of Harlem while conducting interviews on Planned Parenthood. The entire shocking interaction was caught on camera by my husband, leaving no doubt that the assailant, Breonna J. Rivers, was not only guilty of aggravated assault, but also exulting over her own vicious criminal act. Rivers was arrested and reportedly charged with felony assault. But after an interview with 2 prosecutors, I was informed that the felony had been downgraded to a misdemeanor. Despite indisputable video evidence of brutal assault and battery, producing significant injury, trauma, and resulting in over $3,000 in medical bills. Over the next few weeks, the Office of the New York District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, infamous for its 2-tiered system of justice that favors criminals over victims, failed to pursue the case. On July 23, 2025, I find out the prosecution simply allowed this misdemeanor to be dismissed on speedy trial grounds, apparently due to the prosecution's failure to file a certificate of readiness. I was never advised by the prosecution that my
Unbelievable. So they just let this thing run out, and it had to be dismissed because the beast didn't get a speedy trial. And now keep in mind, earlier in the week, I told you about the varying tentacles of terror that are created against conservatives out there, and it comes in many formulations. Not some of them, not all the way outward, but it involves the media and the justice system's revolving door, all kind of designed to keep pushing people out there to attack us and hurt us and harm us. The media encourages them, eggs them on, so do the politicians. The Justice Department continues to push them out back onto the streets. Before Trump came along, the Democrat Party opened the borders so they could have all kinds of rapists, murderers, robbers come and prey upon us and scare us. And so this is just another example, but wait till you hear the other part of this.
The case had essentially been abandoned. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor assigned to handle my case isn't even admitted to the New York bar, just an inexperienced law school graduate. Yet he was able to handle my case under a student practice rule, which is supposed to apply to only very minor offenses. Prior to the dismissal, the prosecutors failed to communicate with me and with my lawyers, and the failure to communicate continued after my lawyers intervened on my behalf to try and find out how this case could be dismissed.
Yeah, unbelievable. So the case is dismissed. The beast is back out. And one of the things that you need to know about how this argument started. So someone might say, well, the pro-life person provoked it. Actually did not. She was standing out there with her husband who was and demonstrating on behalf of the unborn. This woman comes up to her, initially is nice, and then they get into a discussion, and the woman says to the pro-life person who just heard from there that all kids in foster care need to be killed because they don't have parents. And of course the pro-life person reacted like, well, that's really crazy, whatever. And eventually wound up deteriorating into a point where she literally physically attacked her. And now she's back on the streets.
To this day, my lawyers and I have received 0 reply, despite multiple text messages, emails, and phone calls. It is inconceivable that a violent assault case such as this, one that received widespread media attention, including that shocking video, would be put into the hands of somebody not even admitted to the New York bar.
Yeah. And this is all, of course, people, this is all purposeful. It's what's exactly is. So we got to fight this on so many different levels. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Tony Colombo and Company next. You guys have a lovely and blessed weekend. Thank you for listening to News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back.